on today's episode of the Academy of Awesome.
Hey gang, welcome to the Academy of Awesome. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I know we're having a wonderful day here. I'm super excited to have Fatima on the show. What an amazing young woman. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Fatima.
Thank you, Brad. I'm glad to be here.
Woohoo! As Fatima would say. But I just want to introduce Fatima a little bit. What a remarkable entrepreneur she is. I love working with entrepreneurs and interviewing entrepreneurs that really believe in the cause of giving back to their community, creating conscious businesses and conscious companies, and also nonprofit foundations is just phenomenal. So let's dig into it. Let's find out what Fatima is up to. So I know you have an amazing cause that you are definitely a part of.
Yes.
And maybe just tell us what the cause is.
Sure. So it's the World Partnership Walk, which was actually founded here in Vancouver 35 years ago by 6 women, and one happened to be my aunt. So to me, it's also a legacy, and it's also a worthy cause, which is really nice. And we are always at the Stanley Park last Sunday of May, so May 28th. We're going to be at Stanley Park. Come check us out. If you're not even going to support the walk and donate, at least come have the food and be amazed by the food.
Did you just say food?
Yes, I said
Now
food.
you're piquing my interest a little bit more too. What type of food is going to be there?
Oh my God, you got to come check it out.
Okay. now I have to go, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But what an amazing cause it is. So how long has this organization been around for?
So it started 35 years ago here in Vancouver.
Okay.
So this is our 35th year, and it's the largest of its kind in Canada. So
Wow.
we are a nonprofit, and 100% of the funds raised do go towards AKFC. And so then from there, AKFC will distribute it to different projects that are non-denominational. So it doesn't matter what race or anything, you can get help through AKFC.
Wow, that's pretty phenomenal. So you mentioned that this is the largest. How many walkers are we talking about here?
So this happens over 10 cities across Canada.
Wow.
So we segment it into different days. So May 28th will be the first set of walks, so 3 cities. The last one, I believe, is June 11th.
Yeah, wow.
So right across Canada. And across Canada, you've got, in Vancouver, we had about 6,000 people show up.
6,000.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
That's
wow.
a huge
Yeah,
number.
absolutely.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, that's almost as big as the followers that we have for this podcast.
Almost.
almost. Exactly. Now, where did the walk start?
It started here in Vancouver.
Oh, right here, local Vancouver.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
How did it start? Like, what was it? Why did this happen at the very beginning?
So there was 6 ladies, as I had mentioned earlier, and they saw that there was a need for it. Like in Vancouver, they actually came from. So the first country that AKFC did help was Africa.
Oh. Awesome.
Because these women are from Africa originally.
Wow.
And they saw what it was like, life in Africa, and they were fortunate to come here in '72. And they said, you know what, we want to give back, and how can we give back? And they started off, the first year they raised, I believe it was $5,000.
Wow.
Just the 6 of them.
Oh, that's amazing.
And over the last 35 years, we've raised over 110 million.
Wow, I didn't know that the numbers were that big.
Yeah.
Yes,
The numbers are that big,
Wow.
and the good thing is the government of Canada also matches our cause. So basically, depending on the project, it can be matched on average to about 6 to 9 times. So that 100 million is without any of the matching. So if you put the matching in,
Really?
it's about 550 to about 600 million.
Wow, half a $500 million. That's a crazy amount of money.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, and that's a span of over 30 years, right?
35.
Wow, I'm not gonna do the math on how much that is per year, but it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, last year we raised 7 million.
7 million, wow.
Across Canada, and in Vancouver we raised 2 million.
2 million, wow. Vancouverites love to give back.
We do.
I love our city,
yes.
which is really awesome. Wow, that's really good. How did you get involved in all this?
How did I get involved? Well, like I said earlier, like I mentioned earlier, my aunt was actually one of the founders.
Yeah.
So she was one of the 6 ladies. But as a young girl, I remember, going to every person in my community, going door knocking and asking for, like $1 or $2 for the donation. And then 20 years back, my aunt asked me to help, with the walk and volunteer. And I was like, okay, sure. I have nothing, else to do, and I'm a student, and it's a good thing. But I knew at that time I didn't really understand why I was feeling so happy, but I knew that I enjoyed it.
Wow.
And as I started working with the cause, working with World Partnership Walk, and seeing the impact that we have, I realized that, you know what, this is where I'm meant to be. This is my purpose in life, because I'm able to give back to so many people and make a difference in their lives and improve the quality of their lives.
Wow, that's cool. Have you directly seen some of the impacts that has happened as a result of this, some of the people that it's affected?
I haven't actually been to any of the projects itself, but through stories, I've heard a lot of the stories. There's some really cool stories out there.
Cool. Do you have any on the top of your head?
I do. There's actually, this farmer, he didn't have anything, and he had a family of 8 kids. And so the average person outside of Canada or in Africa lives off of $2 a day. Can you imagine living off of $2 a day?
Gee whiz.
No.
No. My coffee in the morning is $2 a day, and I drink about 8 of them. So.
Yeah, there you go. So he could barely make ends meet with his family, and so he came to the AKFC. He was under the AKFC program. Now he's gone to school, become a farmer. He now knows how to farm his own land. And he's got every single one of his children going to school.
Oh, wow.
And they're all now, the 3 elder ones are actually farmers themselves. So now they've actually been able to sustain their family for generations to come, which is really cool and exciting.
That is a really cool success story. Where is, do you know where that farm is located?
I can't remember.
In Africa?
It is in Africa.
Wonderful. Oh, that is so phenomenal. And so I want to take you back as a young lady. You mentioned that you kind of grew up with this.
Yes.
How much of an impact did that make your aunt have on you through this organization? Like, how much of an impact has it made on you as a person today?
So it's made a huge impact because like you start to appreciate what you have. Here in Vancouver, we're very fortunate, right? But life isn't always like that, there's things that do happen, in an individual's life that you actually start re-questioning or looking at things in a different light.
Wow.
And knowing that I am able to, even though I haven't physically gone to any one of these projects, but just being able to volunteer my time, it's a huge, huge, huge satisfaction because I know I've been able to impact the lives. So that, in turn, has then given me, like, all this joy.
Oh, that's so phenomenal.
I don't need the financing, but, the pure joy of actually knowing that someone's life has been changed forever.
Absolutely, yeah. Giving back is one of those things. It's just like, it just rewards you in so many ways, but even like just deep down on like a soul level, it's just so rewarding. And,
oh yes.
How could some people get involved in helping this cause?
There's many different ways that you can get involved. So if you go to worldpartnershipwalk.com, you can sign up to be an ambassador. You can sign up to bring your work team and create a work team.
Well, tell me a little bit about the work team. What is that?
So basically, everyone that you work with, you all come together, create a team, a corporate team, and
for the walk.
For the walk.
Yeah.
So each one of you raise money and then walk together as a team.
Cool. What are some of the ways that people raise money?
So there's car washes that have been done.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah. We've actually had some music parties.
Cool.
you can be very creative. Like I remember there was a dance class that was held. So there's some very creative ways out there.
Maybe I could be like a hunk car wash, you know?
I think that would work.
Really hot guys doing car washes.
I
Not
think
I'm a
that
hot guy
would
or
work.
anything.
And now for myself personally, like what I do with my company is that from every contract that I sign, whether it be like a one-time shot or my monthly ongoing clients,
Yeah.
I will donate $20 to the World Partnership Walk.
Wow.
Right off that.
Just yourself, wow.
Just myself.
So you're also, not only are you volunteering your time and stuff like that, you're actually volunteering your money as well
That's right,
into this
yes.
cause as well.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people that are involved in causes don't really go to those extremes. It's like, they'll use, their celebrity or whatnot just to use their time and whatnot to be a part of the community, but also putting money and real stuff into a cause is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's great what you're doing with these people. It's so great.
I live and breathe it.
Wow.
Like the next 2 weeks literally is all about partnership walk for me.
I bet, yeah. It's like crunch time too, right?
It is.
So what can some of the participants expect to experience at the walk? Take me through the walk itself, from kind of start when they arrive at the walk and that experience for them.
So once they arrive at the walk, if they've registered as ambassadors, then they would go check in, get their T-shirts and their, all of that stuff. But there is no registration fee for anyone.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and 100% of the funds raised do go to AKFC. There's no administrative cost, as we are all volunteers that run this walk.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool in that sense. It's really cool. So that's another reason why I support it, because I know 100% of the funds go there. Now taking you back to the walk, so once they've checked in, whatever, you'll hear some live music and
music too. So music and food.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And we have like a show going, like a dance performances, like various different dance performances. You can get your henna done.
Henna too. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then we've got like our tropical fruit bar, which is like to die for.
Wow.
Which is we have like the sugarcane juice. It's just
okay. I don't think I'm ever gonna leave this walk. Can it just be every day, 24/7?
I think we can make that happen for the next 3 months.
Yeah. Oh wow. It's like a holiday all in like one day. It's awesome.
You get like bands playing, so you get a live show. You get to enjoy a picnic on the grass. Hopefully it's nice and sunny in Vancouver.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just the place to be on Sunday.
Who needs to go on a vacation? We just go to this, right?
Exactly.
So when they arrive, they get their headband or their gear. And then what happens after that?
So then there will be like stretching for just before the walk. There will be some like intro about the walk and some videos, and then they basically go on the walk. It's about an hour and a half. Then you come back and there's a whole bunch of entertainment going on. Wow. The one thing that you do need to try is the lentil fritters.
Yeah.
They are to die for.
Wow.
And they actually, like, people just come to the walk just for those.
Well, I gotta make sure that I bring my duffel bag and sneak a whole tray into it, that's for sure. Yeah. Food is like, that's my thing, right? If I follow the food, so wherever the food is, and that's a good way to draw people, I think, is people go where the food is, right?
And, I mean, in Stanley Park at Lumberman's Arch, you've got like an amazing view of the mountains and the water, and you can see the walkers leave, which is really cool, right underneath the bridge.
Oh, awesome.
So it's a really nice sight to see. Everyone coming together for a good cause, and yeah, it's truly heartwarming.
Wow, yeah, I couldn't imagine. You said there's last year you guys got about 6,000, was that correct?
Around 6,000.
Yeah, that must be just a one big awesome party, right?
It is. It's a huge party. You get to connect with all of your friends that you haven't seen, and like all these other people, meet new people.
Yeah, that's a good point, because people say Vancouver can be a little hard to meet people, and what I've found in just my own experience in life is going to events like this. Especially charity events, is everybody is there, is just so happy and kind, and just wants to connect with you. Right, and I'm sure that's been your experience too. I'm sure you've met some amazing people and become friends with them.
I have. I've met a lot of people, countless amount of people.
Wow.
Right, and also reconnected with a lot of old friends that I lost touch with. So it's really cool to see.
Oh, that is awesome. And so I want to go back a little bit in terms of the people that are affected in countries like Africa. What are some of the experiences that some of the troubles that they're experiencing right now, where the funding and stuff like that goes to help them? What are they experiencing on their end?
So it's not just Africa. So
Okay, yeah.
we have like Asia, we have Tajikistan, Afghanistan, you know, a whole bunch of different regions. There's about 22 countries, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
So the simple thing, education.
Yeah.
You know, like here in Vancouver, we're very, very fortunate that we have education, right?
Yeah.
We have access to education. But in Africa, they don't have that access to education, right?
Wow.
So they have to walk, you know, X amount of miles to get to their school. But even then, if there's once they hit a certain age, then they have to help in the farm.
Wow.
So here now they've got schools that are built closer to the to their homes.
Yeah.
And now they've got, you know, like the madrasa school, which is like pre-kindergarten.
Wow.
So the sooner you get your students in school or your kids in school, the better it is.
Right.
So now they're having that opportunity. Now for mothers, you know, they're at home and they're the ones that pretty much run the family.
Yeah.
So there's actually microfinancing loans for women.
I just want to give a shout out to mothers right now, real quick. Mothers are amazing, and they don't get enough credit because they have the hardest job on the planet because they got to deal with us, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So sorry, I just had to put that plug in.
That's an awesome
Yeah.
plug. Yeah, that's totally plug.
Yeah.
So they have this microfinance loan for women who then basically can start a business of their own.
Wow, so they can become entrepreneurs themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So then once they've paid it back, they've now got their family that's, you know, sustainable, not just their immediate family, but their generations to come.
Wow.
So the biggest philosophy for the World Partnership Walk is teach a man how to fish, and you've taught him for life.
Yeah, I love that, absolutely. It's just, you know, and that's what my experience is going to third world countries, and is they're so willing to put in the work, right? That we take for granted, right? I know a lot of people here in North America, you know, they struggle to find work because they just don't really apply themselves in life. But you know, the people in third world countries and immigrants, they're just so appreciative of, you know, and so hardworking and dedicated, and if you give them that opportunity, they're gonna take it and thrive with it, right?
Oh yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
And then you have those success stories like the farmer that you were talking
Yeah.
about a little bit earlier, right? Awesome. So, is there anything else you can tell us about the walk that we may have missed?
So other projects are hospitals that are built. You've got infrastructure that is also built. I mentioned that it's 100% of the funds that are donated to AKFC.
Yeah.
And it's matched by the government.
Yeah. Wow. How much matching do they do?
So depending on the project.
Okay.
So anywhere like an average of 6 to 9 times.
Wow. 6
Yeah.
to 9 times.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. We're very fortunate too with our government. I mean, to have such a phenomenal government here in Canada. I know sometimes we can be a little, you know, when it comes to politics, you know, we don't like certain prime ministers or, you know, etc. But I mean, we are, at the end of the day, we're very, very blessed as a country to have, you know, a system set in place, right? Because like these countries, the third world countries, they don't even have a system, and the government doesn't help them at all.
No.
Right?
There's a lot of corruption.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. So basically, you know, it's true for the saying, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, which is really sad to see.
Wow, wow, what a phenomenal cause, and you know, it's just so exciting to see. And if somebody wanted to, I know for runs and walks and whatnot, a lot of, well, pretty much everybody's volunteer. How does somebody get involved in volunteering for this?
So you would go onto the World Partnership Walk, and it says, there's actually a link that says volunteer with us and get involved. So then you can basically fill that out, and then they'll match you according to your skills.
Oh, perfect. Are you guys still in need of volunteers now for this walk, or are you guys pretty set?
We are always looking for
volunteers.
Yes, we're always looking for volunteers.
Cool. And throughout the year, is there ways to volunteer as well before the next walk happens?
So yeah, we are always in planning. It happens once a year. So once this walk is done, we're now in planning stage, and there's a lot of different committees So depending on the level you are, yes, you can volunteer. Um, but more so it's like the day of, but you can still
Cool.
contribute throughout the year.
Perfect. Yeah, and so yeah, hit up that website immediately and really get connected with this cause. And we hope to see everyone there for some amazing times. You'll see me dancing up a storm and eating at the same time, I'm sure.
All right, I'm gonna take you up on that.
I'm gonna be walking, dancing, and eating, and shaking, and meeting people because that's what I love to do. It's a big part of who I am is networking and being a part of causes. So I can't wait for some scrumptious food, that's for sure.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait to see you there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be coming every single year just because
Perfect.
the food. But no, just the cause itself is something that's really important to me too because my big philosophy in life is to give back. So you do a lot more than just this amazing cause. You're a very very talented woman.
So they say.
Yeah, I remember when I first met you and you're giving me the list of things that you do and are a part of, and I'm just like, every single moment I was like, okay, wow, what else do you do? I mean, like, it's pretty phenomenal. So let's just go into it. We'll kind of segue from because you do a lot of work in this organization, but also you also do a lot of work on a kind of a spiritual basis as well. Maybe tell us a little bit about that too, that side of you.
So I actually do a lot of work on the spiritual side. So I actually have my own jewelry line, which is fashionably spiritual jewelry. So that basically takes both my fashion sense and my spirituality. So it started off with like what we call thespies. They're also like rosaries and malas. So each one of those beads is the 99 names of Allah. It doesn't matter who you are, you can still wear them because every time I actually string one together, I've recited a prayer.
Wow.
So, and I'm using semi-precious stones, so you've got that combination of the semi-precious stones and the prayer that is meant for you.
That's awesome. And you do custom work for your jewelry
I
as well,
do,
right?
yes,
So if somebody
yes.
wanted like a rosary or somebody wanted some meditation beads done,
Yes.
you do something like
Yes.
that as well.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's phenomenal. Now, how does somebody go about seeing your jewelry?
You can see it on my website, fatimasumar.com.
Perfect.
Or you can just call me up, and because it's one of a kind, it's custom to order.
Oh, that's so phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the jewelry myself, and it is beautiful. It's really done, obviously all by hand by Fatima and designed by Fatima, and she has a real good eye for this. I mean, it's beautiful. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and then another hat that you wear is you also have a booming social media business. Tell me a little bit about your company and what you do.
So, FireFox Media is a social media consulting company, and what we do is we basically create content. We we will blog for companies. We will also manage their social media platforms. But basically, what we do is we take the stress away from companies, and we allow them to grow through their social media while they go out and they do what they love doing best. Leave the stuff, the tedious stuff to us.
Yeah. Awesome. What projects do you have on the go right now?
So right now I'm actually in the midst of organizing a workshop for another group of realtors. I'm not going to give their name right now.
Of course, yeah.
And then I'm also working with three different companies where I'm actually teaching them how to use social media.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool.
What type of social media platforms are you?
So I focus mainly on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Those are my primary focuses.
There's some really interesting trends that are coming up in social media. I know just through my own research and what I do on social media, especially with the video stuff. But what kind of trends do you see that you're kind of noticing right now that you're following and that you are leveraging right now in your own business?
So I mean, one of them is actually giving back. Now, a lot of businesses have changed their models. A lot of their businesses where they're giving back. I'm not giving back because of that, but it's just something that has always been a part of me.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. I align perfectly well. Another trend is, being heart-centered.
Okay.
And that is something that's huge. So you bring your spiritual aspect to it, but there's not that heart sense, but there's that relationship building.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. I want to dig deep because this is something that's really really important to me too. So, Let's talk about the hard side of the business. What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, you want to do business with people who you trust, who you know. You don't want to be doing business with, someone who you know is going to turn around and walk the other way as soon as they see something better.
Yeah.
I've actually had that happen.
Wow.
Which I mean, it wasn't the best of experience, but it was a learning experience.
Yeah.
So I do want to try. I work with people who I trust and I know.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, likewise. I mean, that's one of the catchphrases in business and entrepreneurship is, we want to work with people and people want to work with us, and we know, like, and trust, right? Those are the three, common denominators of what makes a successful relationship. And what I really like, what you're saying here, is a big part of, who I am as an individual as well as my company and what I like to set up in just my coaching practice is creating conscious businesses. Now, this is something that's quite new. To the business world, but it's getting a lot of strength. A lot of companies are becoming conscious companies. A lot of companies are giving back. Like, some of the big name companies, the software giants, and yeah, even like companies like Facebook and Google and those bigger names. They're actually creating programs to give back and become conscious, and they're also doing it with their employees too, which is so phenomenal. This is a trend. Now, how would you help a company become conscious, I guess?
So basically, one, it's language, right? I mean, you don't want to be seeing like all this vulgar language online or whatever. But it's also encouraging them to stand for a cause, or even if they give back a little bit, whether it be advice, whether it be help, in any way, they've made a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we talked about this as well. One thing that you just said there that's a really good point is giving advice, and offering some of your services and content for free. I think is just phenomenal. And we talked about this when we met. It's so great. It's like for me as a coach and you with your services as well. It's like giving people a little bit of advice and just guidance and mentorship. Just it actually in return, it gives us a lot much more back, just not only personally, but it also gives us more business, does it not?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And also it ignites some hope, and it ignites something that you probably never thought of, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if I've just spoken to if I just had a conversation with you, and I mentioned something and you never even thought of, but it's like, hey, wait a second, something has sparked, right? So now they can then turn around and then help, and then again, business is coming because it's word of mouth, because they know that they can trust you.
Absolutely. It does build that rapport and trust with your customers big time. And I'm sure you've seen it with some of the companies you work with who are giving that type of content away. What are some of the results that you've seen out of doing that model?
With the content marketing, with giving the
giving away some of the freemium stuff, giving away some advice, and whatnot. What are some of the returns you've seen?
Well, one, I mean, like I said many times, it's built trust, a relationship. But not only that, but I mean, you're actually able, when you're working with your clients, you're able to work freely with them.
Yeah.
There's no behind the scenes. It's all authentic. It's all real. And that way you can even build a better relationship with them, which is really nice.
Yeah, authenticity is something that's been really missing in the business world for quite a long time. And what I'm with this conscious movement, what I'm really seeing is authenticity really coming back into our lives, right? Where we're building relationships that are very fruitful. And I love that. One of the the people that I love following is Brene Brown, and I just love her concepts on being authentic and being real. So I'm really glad that this is in our business. So why is I know that you do a lot of content stuff. So why is content important?
Why is content important? Well, because you're actually able to position yourself as a leader, to build trust, but also if you have, the more content you have, you are then becoming an expert in your industry, right? And you're able to reach a lot more people using social media as opposed to traditional marketing. With traditional marketing, it's also very expensive, but with social media, you can actually reach people at $5 a day and you'll probably reach a lot more people that are targeted, as
Wow.
opposed to, your ads in the paper or on TV. Like, you're having to spend, thousands of dollars, but your return's not that high.
Mm.
So you've got a better return with social media.
Interesting. So, what type of advice would you give to somebody just starting out and they do a small business, let's say, or maybe a startup, and they really want to just start developing just some free content and just doing it on their own? What would you suggest they do to take those first steps?
Well, number one, ask for help.
Mm.
Because I know as entrepreneurs, when we're starting out, a lot of times we don't do ask for help.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there who are willing to help, and ask for that help, because if you ask for it, you're gonna receive it. And you also want to be around people who are going to encourage you and who see your dream, not be around people who are just going to pull you down.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very tough. But in creating content, be inspired. Whatever you're inspired by, create the content with that. Do what you know and do it best.
Well, I really like what you're saying there, and in creating that content. That's some key points in what you're mentioned there is just like is having that authenticity showing up in the content creation is really important. But before what you were saying and what's really near and dear to me is asking for help, right? At the very beginning, a lot of it can be difficult and daunting to create content, as you're aware because you're a content creator.
Yeah.
It's hard to write sometimes and to really find out what our message is and what our value proposition is. So asking for help. A wise man once told me the definition of humility is asking for help, and I really love that because we can't do this alone.
No.
When it comes to entrepreneurship, I see it time and time again from a lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with. They just want to go it alone, right? They want to be that lone wolf. And what I've seen is that it takes them a lot longer to get to where they want to be,
Yeah.
and B, a lot of them just stop doing it. And it's very sad, like how much wasted dreams that are out there, right? Because they don't, they're too prideful to ask for help. You know what I mean? Like so it's just a phenomenal way to get to where you want to be is I guess would be is reaching out to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where would you suggest somebody would start reaching out to?
Like, you've got your libraries. So if you're like on a very tight budget, come to the library.
Yeah.
And do you want to do a plug out?
Yeah. No, it's I am a Fatima. I'm a big believer in libraries. Like I'm a library nerd, so I spend a lot of my time in the library, which is phenomenal. And Vancouver itself has like phenomenal library services. And if you want to get really involved, what I really recommend is they will really help you out in so many areas of your life. Is if you go to your local library because they have so many services are available. So one thing that I want to ask you as well is like going on that theme of people just starting out on social media and just getting their start. What channels of social media, what platforms would you suggest someone start out at first?
Well, a lot of times when people are starting out, they want to like jump onto every single platform.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get anywhere. Find 2, 3, maybe 4, no more than that, platforms that you actually want to enjoy and that you understand. And then take it from there and then, go from there. Once you've mastered those 4 at most, then you can add to your belt.
Interesting.
Right? So I started off with Facebook. Like when I first started, I did that. I started with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There was no Snapchat at the time.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn and like Flickr and all these other things, and I was too overwhelmed because I didn't know what to.
I like where you're going right here because this is one of the questions I love asking entrepreneurs, and is we learn from our failures, right? And
our learning experiences.
So exactly, learning experiences, as Fatima politely mentioned here. Okay, I want to talk about this because something that I study is failure and how to make it. To really make failure our best friends because that's our learning experiences, as you just said. So early on when you first started out, you made one of the, I guess, learning experiences of going on way too many platforms. I want to just to no, we won't at this moment to talk about it, but I want to talk about some of those early learning experiences that you had in your business and
Okay.
how you overcame them. So let's talk about this one first. So at the very beginning, you went on every single platform you could find probably, and then what happened?
And I was just overwhelmed. I
Yeah.
didn't know where I was going. I didn't know how to create content. I didn't know anything. I didn't know left from right, right from left. So basically, then after, I went to school. I actually went to BCIT, did the whole marketing program and the social media
Wow.
program.
Yeah.
And then I started realizing, yes, we had to learn all of these platforms, but I realized that I didn't like a lot of these platforms. Right? Because it wasn't, like it wasn't for me, or it didn't fit with my brand, or it didn't fit with my demographic. So, one, when you're looking at your platforms, you want to look at your demographics. Are you targeting someone who is like 15 versus someone who is 50? If you're targeting someone who's 15, you're going to be on Snapchat. Whereas if you're targeting someone who's like, in their 50s, 45 to 55, you want to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, and even maybe Instagram. So it depends, and also your business.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. That's just something I wanted to ask you as well. Is like, how do you know where to find your start? And I really like how you said that. It just goes about who your actual customer is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So early stages, some of the experiences we face when it comes to being an entrepreneur, and some of the earlier challenges. What are some of the other challenges that you faced early on in your business
Well,
life?
I thought I could take everything on myself.
Yes.
So it was like I didn't ask for that help, and it was just I was struggling because it was like I learned how to build a website by myself. I learned how to do everything by myself, but I was taking one step back forward and 10 steps back. And I was just in this cycle, and then finally. I started doing a lot of personal development and realized that no, I need to ask for that help.
Yeah.
It's okay to ask for that help.
Who did you ask for help?
So I actually did Landmark
Awesome.
education, and I'm actually now currently involved with Make Your Mark education.
Yeah.
And I'm doing their program, The Best Mindset, which I'm actually there every 2 weeks. We meet. We're with like-minded entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And then I started asking, like mentors. I actually asked one of my cousin who is in the industry, or at the time he had his own IT company.
Yeah.
So I asked him. I was like, well, who best to ask than someone in the family, right?
Absolutely.
Because they're going to guide me in a way that they want to see me succeed. At first, I thought, if I were to ask someone, they wouldn't want to give me the information. I was going to waste their time. But there's people out there who will give you that information, who want to help you.
It's so true, and just a little bit of plug for me, but coaching, mentoring, and having advisors. I mean, this is really, to me, this is the most important thing for entrepreneurs to have, or just anybody in life in general. I think is to have some guidance from people.
Yeah.
Whether it's be spiritual guidance, whether it's if you're into fitness, having a fitness trainer, if it's in business, having an entrepreneur coach. I mean, these things are very very important. I mean, like look at sports for instance. Athletes wouldn't get to where they were unless they had those coaches,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it is extremely important to have a coach and a mentor, an advisor. And if you don't have one, I really implore you to find a great mentor who you can again know, like, and trust. And it's just phenomenal that you had those mentors early on that really helped you, because at the beginning it sounded like it like me, I was a bit all over the place, and it's hard to define who we are sometimes, and having that expertise is just really important, right?
And also just being able to get it down on pen and paper is huge.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as entrepreneurs, as creatives, everything's in our head.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, yeah, you see a vision and you have it, but if you don't actually put it down to pen and paper, then it's lost.
Absolutely.
And putting it to pen and paper, it actually makes it very real, and it helps you focus.
Yeah, I love what you're saying here. Pen to paper is one of the best things to do as a habit. I study habits very extensively of like the people who've come before us, the people who have been the most successful people on the planet, and what their habits were.
Mhm.
And one of the things that one of the top, you know, I think it's top 3 things, top 4 things that some of the most successful people that have ever lived, and that was it, was they write. There's actually a study of this, of, you know, billionaires and the most successful people on the planet, and like some of the biggest thought leaders, like, you know, Einstein and Edison and whatnot. And one of the things that they would do is they'd take a certain amount of time per day to just think and write, right? And some of the biggest CEOs, I can't remember, I was just reading an article on this, can't remember the exact name, some of the biggest CEOs on the planet right now spend, I think Mark Zuckerberg was on that list, they spend 1 to 2 hours of just thinking and writing. They block off all their time, they throw away their devices, they, you know, there's no emails open, and they just lock themselves up, and basically they just think and write for those 2 hours. So isn't that amazing?
It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Another, like, a mentor of mine is Robin Sharma, and that's something that he's also said.
Oh, cool.
So he actually has he's got the 5 a.m. club. So it's like basically waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Awesome.
Okay, but I don't know if I can do that all the time. But anyways, but his philosophy is really cool.
Yeah.
So you wake up 5 o'clock. You block out 20 minutes for your exercise, 20 minutes for your thought process, and 20 minutes to learn.
Wow.
So as entrepreneurs, we need that. We need to, you know, be learning constantly. So for me, I actually, like, before I go to bed, I'll take a book and I'll read it.
Wow.
And I used to read a lot of romance novels and, you know, typical girl stuff, but
Nancy Drew and all that good
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
but now it's like, you know what, I'm actually learning and, you know, reading. Like, I enjoy what I'm reading. I won't pick up one of those, like, novels anymore.
Yeah.
I'll pick up a lot of self-help, spiritual books, or finance, or anything that will help me grow my business.
Cool. What's this is a good opportunity for me to ask. I love asking entrepreneurs this, and just for our viewers, because people want to learn what are name some books that you would recommend reading to impact people in business
So I've actually read
or life. Yeah.
The Alchemist.
Oh, cool.
It's a really cool book. I read it 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah. That was actually one of my favorites. And then I read the Secret series.
Yeah.
So right now I'm actually reading Who's Got Your Back.
Okay.
I've read The One, which is, you know, about making one choice and sticking to one thing rather than being all over the place.
Yeah.
There is also Don't Eat Alone.
Don't eat alone.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah,
I
I
eat
know.
alone quite often, and it sucks.
And then there's also The Happiness Project that I've read.
That's a good book, yeah.
So I've read a few, and I've got a few that I've got ready to go, like Lean In. I've also got E-Myth Revisited, ready to go.
Wow.
So, and I also read a lot of, like, if I'm not reading, you know, business books, then I'm reading spiritual books. So,
Yeah.
you know, Louise Hayes has a lot of amazing books.
I love the Hayes, and you know, Wayne Dyer is one of my favorites, favorite authors, just favorite. He's probably the most inspirational person who's impacted my life would be Wayne Dyer, and he's Louise Hayes is his publisher, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. So, yeah, one of the things that I want to go back to a little bit is what we've been talking about is really habits that people form. And what I've found in just a lot of my research, I study habits like crazy, right? And you know, you started mentioning some of the habits you have on a daily basis. So let's talk about the exact habits that you follow every single day to help you stay successful.
So, I don't wake up at 5.
Right on.
But I do wake up at 6:30.
That's still way too early.
So I do wake up at about 6:30, and I'll start off my day with, you know, our prayer.
Yeah.
And then I'll just sort of meditate really quickly for about 5 minutes. And then I'll start looking at my emails, and I'll actually start posting content at that point. And then I'll just go on, you know, get some exercise in, whether it be going to a yoga studio or going for a walk. Just sort of listening to what my body wants, and then go from there. And then I start meeting with clients and other prospective clients, and then I'll go to mosque, in the evening, and then I'll wind down by watching some TV. I know that's a bad habit. But you know what? Every one of us has our thing that, like it's 1 hour, which is not so bad.
That's actually pretty good. Yeah, that's really good. A lot better than what I'm doing right now.
And then at night I'll be up, writing any blog articles or anything like that, because I find that I'm actually very creative at night. Like my creative juices come through at night, and it's very peaceful.
Yeah.
So I write all my blog articles and all of that stuff at night.
Cool. Writing is it's tough to do sometimes. I know for myself, like I do some blogging and whatnot, and I know content creation is something that's really important to be a good solid writer. But if you're just starting out, just starting out to write, to do maybe your first blog, what would be like some tips or tricks or advice that you'd give to somebody that just wants to put out their first article?
Well, if you want to do that, start journaling.
Oh.
That actually makes it a little bit easier to get your thought process out.
Yeah.
And then what I do is I'll listen to very light music in the background. I will turn everything off, all my phones and emails and all of that stuff, and I'll just get into the zone.
Yeah.
If I'm not feeling it, I'm not writing.
Yeah.
And if you're starting out as a writer, just even if you write a little bit in your journal, that'll help.
That's awesome. I like that you said that. Another guy that I just absolutely love is Tim Ferriss, and he is an amazing author as well. And I think he just listening to his podcast, he's really struggled in finding himself in terms of an author, because he never really thought of himself as an author. So what he said, and he got coaching for some of the top authors on the planet, is just writing something, right? Just getting something, like you were mentioning, pen to paper. Even if it's just like a sentence or two or a paragraph, it's a start. At least you did something, right? So would that be something that you would agree with as well?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
For me, I actually do a lot of pen to paper. So I rather do pen to paper before I actually start typing on the computer.
Yeah.
I find that when I'm actually writing it, I remember what I've written, and also I'm a lot more connected with what I'm writing.
Yeah, that's to go back to Wayne Dyer here. That's what he wrote all of his books by hand.
Yeah.
And then they would type it out. And he said the same exact thing. It's like almost like a spiritual practice in the writing itself. You're very connected, and it's cool. And I love it too. Like I prefer being on a computer and typing away. But I do for me, I do a lot of journaling. And so writing, I love doing journaling, and I love writing that way. But when it comes to start blogging, I mean, I don't know, I have maybe a mental block or something like that just doesn't allow me to want to get excited about it, I guess. But journaling, I do. I really enjoy. Yeah.
So with blogs, so sometimes the easiest way to start is with an experience. So say you've gone out to a restaurant, or you've been out to like a new place in Vancouver, just write about it. Write about 300 words and just let it flow. You don't have to worry about who's going to think about what or anything. Just write about it. Your experience is the best way to start.
This is awesome. Okay, so I want to talk about this a little bit as well in terms of content, because one of the articles I just read by Gary Vee, as everybody knows, is a huge name in content creation. He wrote an article, and what it was saying is instead of is writing and creating content from a place of experience. So he called it documenting. So document, your content instead of like, I can't remember what he said the word was, but it's like documenting your experiences versus trying to come across as selling our services.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So what he suggested is like if we're creating content is exactly that, writing about our experiences in life. Right, writing about our experiences at this place or this food place, just writing about our experiences. Or if you're doing video content, what he suggested was just kind of like do a video of just like what you're experiencing in that moment, because it goes back to becoming authentic. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. For sure, 100%. I mean, each person has their own experiences in life, and that's what makes us unique, right? Yeah, you have you have the factual stuff. You can include your factual stuff in there. but also throw in that personal, experience of yourself, because it makes you unique. It makes your writing you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that's awesome, and I love what you're doing when it comes to your social media business. I love that you're trying to create conscious companies. I love the people that you're working with because you're helping them become conscious companies. Do you also help them? If they wanted to get involved at the charity level, you'd help set them that up as well.
Um, well, I would obviously get
Yeah.
them connected to the World Partnership Walk.
Perfect. Yeah. Exactly. World Partnership Walk. That's everybody should be connected to this, and even in your businesses, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Cool.
But I actually have another foundation that I'm starting up myself.
Oh wow. Is it too early to talk about that now?
I can give you some details, but I won't
Okay.
give you a lot of details.
Okay. More to go.
Yeah, more to come.
Yeah.
So basically, it's an organization for women to go and find a safe place, because they've lost their jobs. They
In the
don't
Lower Mainland?
in the Lower
Okay,
Mainland.
yeah.
I want it to start Lower Mainland,
Yeah.
and then it'll eventually grow nationally.
Wow.
But you got to do grassroots, right?
Exactly.
You gotta
Absolutely. Start small.
and
Yeah.
then go big.
Absolutely.
So it's for women who have lost their jobs, no fault of their own, whether it be through injury, whether it be through layoff, or whatever it was, whatever the circumstance. They have a safe place to come, and now they want to change their entire life around. They want to, either go back to school, or they want to start a business, but they don't have the funding, they don't know where to go, and they don't know how to do that. So they can come to this organization where it's all volunteer work.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Do you, at this stage, I know it's really, really early, is there any way that people can help at this stage?
At this stage right now,
Yeah.
no, just because I'm still putting, everything sort of in order.
Wonderful.
I mean, I've got the name, but I don't want to say it
So yeah,
right
we're
now
too early, yeah.
because it hasn't been claimed yet, so I don't want to say it yet.
Wow.
But anyways, so like at this point, it's just too early. But keep in mind that like in the next year or so, I will be asking for help.
Okay, so you plan to launch within a year type
Yes.
deal. Oh, that's awesome. So like I said at the very beginning, a very talented woman. She wears many hats, which is phenomenal. Now, what out of everything that you do in your life, personal life, your business life, like what is your favorite thing out of all the stuff that you do?
My favorite thing is actually, well, I know my life purpose is to help others.
Yeah.
And the volunteer work that I do is very, very centered about that.
Wow.
So like you've got the World Partnership Walk where I'm, like I know I'm making an impact. I also volunteer and teach grade 1 students every Saturday for our Saturday school. And I also volunteer at mosque where I get to lead, women and impact their lives in a positive way. So for me, if I could just volunteer and know that I can make a difference in everyone's lives, that would be amazing.
That is amazing. And here's another hat. Here's another plug of what you wear is again a very talented young lady. You are very involved at mosque.
Correct.
And tell us a little bit about that because there's something that you do there that is I was like wow like this is phenomenal. So what is your role there?
So my role is it's like a priest, but not necessarily a priest.
Yeah.
And so it's a year position where I get to actually lead our services for women.
That's just phenomenal. Wow. It's crazy. Like it's just insane. It's just such a young lady. It's just like to have this many hats and to be that impactful in so many lives. And I'm sure you're impacting lives at mosque as well, which is phenomenal. So, out of all this, like, what motivates you? Why do you do all this?
Um, because I don't want the next person to be in a position where they can't fend for themselves. They've lost hope. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you look at Mother Teresa, she was out there, doing good for the world.
Yes.
Despite what was going on, that's what I want. I want to be able to inspire people and, we have them succeed in what they want and them follow their dreams.
Wow.
I want, like it doesn't matter what's going on in the world, but really know that, we can be there to help each other and grow and make this world actually a better place.
Yeah, I love that, and that's if we all do that, every single person on this planet, our world's going to be in far better shape than it is right now, right? And
Yes.
I think we're getting there as a community. I think there's a lot more because of media. There's a lot more people joining causes and
Yeah.
whatnot. And one thing that you just mentioned there is Mother Teresa, and this is really amazingly impactful woman. Who are some of the other people that really inspired you? Like, who are your heroes?
So actually, one of my professors,
Oh,
Rebecca Coleman, she's inspired me to continue with my social media. So there's Seth Godin, there is His Highness the Aga Khan,
wow.
which I mean, I can't. There's no words to describe the amount of volunteer work or the amount of giving back he does. He's a philanthropic leader, and he just there's no words, like no
Wow.
words.
That's good. Like, what type of stuff is he doing at a?
So he's actually, so AKFC falls under His Highness the Aga
Oh
Khan.
yeah.
So he's the spiritual leader for Ismaili Muslims. And if you just, look at him, like, look at the work he's done, it's just phenomenal.
Just on a very much bigger platform,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's, like, one of my biggest inspirations.
Yeah. Is there any other people that have just really impacted you? In terms of perhaps people who are very well known, or just people in your personal life?
So I've got a lot of friends that have, been very positive. One of my cousins who I actually, growing up, did not like.
So it was like some of our siblings, right?
He always would make me cry. Like,
Yeah.
honest to God, he would walk by and he would say something and he would just make me cry. And he did this every day.
Oh, really?
And now I actually look up to him.
Wow. Is that the one that you with the IT company?
That's right, yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I know when we talked to you, you mentioned that he had a pretty big impact on you, and that's why you went for him for advice, and,
Yeah.
and he became a bit of a mentor
Yeah.
for you, right?
And so the funny thing is, right now we both are actually working partnership walk. So he is the chair, city chair, and I'm the donor services convener. So we both are working collectively together, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, awesome. So some more great things, right?
I know.
There's just so many. It's a long list. I have a question for you. If you could right now go talk to your younger self, what would you say to your younger self?
Follow your dreams, no matter what anybody says. Just continue to follow your dreams because your dreams are going to take you where you want to be.
Oh, I love that. That's very almost poetic, right?
Speaking of poems, I
Yeah.
actually published my first book, which is a book on poetry.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about this completely. This is another one of your hats. I mean, just publishing a book of poetry. I mean, like, how many things does this young lady do, right? So let's talk about your poetry book.
What do you want to know?
So how did that come about? I know there's a backstory to this.
There
so,
is.
Yeah.
There definitely is. So, from grade 8, I started writing a lot of poetry. I mean, we had our school projects, right, to write poetry and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I just kept all of my poetry. And then anytime I was feeling down or happy or whatever, I would just write it in poetry.
Wow.
And then I always knew I wanted to publish. Then about 2 years back, we actually had a house fire. We had a house fire in the house, and that same week that we had the house fire, something told me inside, get your poetry out and take it to the office and keep it at the office.
Wow.
So sure enough, I took it out, and thankfully I did because all my poems were all handwritten, and I was actually then able to put it onto a book, put it into a book.
So they survived the fire.
They did. Well, they weren't even
Oh.
in the fire, so they were away from the fire.
Yeah.
So it was just meant to be.
It's just meant to be, yeah.
Yeah.
So when did all this publishing stuff happen, and how did that come about?
So even during the fire, I was like starting to transcribing and all of that stuff, but it was just I wasn't really motivated or anything. And then I spoke to a friend of mine, Shannon, and he then basically he was like, well, if you're not gonna write it, you're letting the you're what's it called? You're not letting the universe see who you are. You've got all this greatness and you're hiding it. You need to actually share it with the world.
Wow.
And so then that sort of inspired me. So I started transcribing, and then I sort of lost, faith again and hope and whatever. And I went to Dynamic Women in Action. We had one of our meetings, and so we put out a calendar of like, you know, our things that we wanted to do, and I put, you know, I wanted to publish my book.
Wow.
So something in there had inspired me. Within the next 2 days, I published it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a crazy story. I mean, like, it's funny where like the universe kind of pulls us sometimes, right? And
Yeah.
we'll be, I know it's happening just recently in my life. I just be like, I'll be going along this path right here, and then it's like, boom, something will just like, you know, drastically change and shift my path, right? And that's what it sounded like happened here as well, right?
It did.
Cool. So now, what stage is the book at now? How do people get a copy?
So it's already published. It's called Lost in Intoxication. You can get it on CreateSpace. Excuse me. You can get it on Amazon, and just look up Lost in Intoxication.
Go check that out right now, because I'm sure it's just phenomenal poetry. Just knowing how talented Fatima is, it's going to be great. So I'm going to go get my copy too. So if you could go back over your life, I guess, and you could point out one failure or, in your words, life experience that really stood out to you, either in business or personal life. What was it, and how did you overcome it?
That's a good question.
I know. I like to ask the tough ones,
That's
right?
a loaded question.
It is. It is a large question.
One of my biggest mistakes was actually connecting with the wrong people.
Okay, yeah.
That may sound very weird, but you know, often they say you are the 5 people you hang out with.
Yes.
So I connected with the wrong, you know, group of people, and they just were totally not where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And thank God, you know, like my parents, you know, saw that, and they pulled me out of it. And yes, there was a lot of resentment at the time.
So it's at a young age then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was a lot of resentment, but looking back, I'm so grateful that they were able to see that and pull me out of that.
Dodged a bullet.
I did, yes.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in this too. Is like you are the company you keep, and the people who we hang out with, where they directly affect us, and we become them.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, I was just very similar. You know, I was a bit of a troubled youth, and I got myself in a lot of trouble very young age. My parents, oh God bless them, because yeah, they had to put up with me for a number of years, and that's the kind of the path that I was taking in my own personal life, was going down a path of it just wasn't very good. I was hanging out with, you know, the wrong people, and I did for quite a few years of my life. And what I've noticed is, like, when I shifted at one point, when I became a little bit more mature at a little bit later age than you did, of course. But what happened was I cut those people out of my life completely. You know, what a lot of people say is, like, you know, stick with the winners and get rid of the losers, right?
Yeah.
And what has happened in my life, just by doing that one thing, is that was probably the biggest impact of my life and in my career too. Is just associating myself with winners. Would you agree that that's been kind of your case as well?
Yes, for sure,
Yeah.
100%. Because you know, like you said, you start talking like them, you start acting like them, and it was very negative. So I didn't get into trouble like you did.
Yeah.
But it was more so, but it was
Good.
more so it was very negative, and
Yeah.
then I basically turned inward.
Oh, okay.
And I've always been someone who's very like outgoing, and you know, but that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got rid of them, and I started opening up and started becoming, like, you know, my bubbly self, which
Yeah.
was nice.
Yeah, it's cool when you can connect to your authentic self,
Yeah.
right? And so many people don't let that part of themselves shine. And another big area of study that I really focus on, and how I coach people is through the limiting belief system. I know we talked about this as well, and with your experience with Landmark, they talk about it as well. But yeah, it's just because our limiting belief system tells us that we're not good enough, because
Yeah.
we may have had those messages in our past by either bullies in school or parents or whoever, right, that really kind of instilled that belief about ourselves, and it really kind of glares up to us. So we don't really find that true authentic self until we start getting rid of those layers, and one of those layers is the people we hang out with,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, wow.
People we hang out with, stuff that we watch on TV,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, I don't watch the news. To be honest, I stay away from the news because
Best
it's
advice
so toxic.
Yeah.
And it's so uninspiring.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be someone who is actually going out and doing something and empowering people. I don't want to be stuck with stories and all these other people's drama and all of that.
Yeah.
It's not something that I can grow with.
Yeah.
So it's not just the people. It's what you read, what you like, where you hang out, what you watch,
Absolutely.
what you're reading. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of very different influences in our lives.
There is, yeah. I mean, I spend a lot of time on social media for my business, and I try to get rid of all the news sources I possibly can, because and people still post stuff that I just like. It just drives me a bit crazy. But I try to stay away from news sources as much as possible, because yeah, it does. I notice a big difference when I see stuff like that, and just the opinions people have and whatnot. It's just like, people have opinions on everything, but instead of having those opinions, let's why don't we as a community band together and just start doing something,
Yeah,
right?
channel
Instead
it
of
and do
talking,
something.
right? Yeah, exactly. You can have an opinion about something until you're blue in the face, but why don't we just get off our butts and just put down the social media and actually join a cause like the causes that you're talking about here today,
The
right?
World Partnership.
The World Partnership Walk, exactly, with the
May
yummy, yummy food.
28th.
May 28th. Oh yeah, so May 28th.
Lumberman's Arch.
Lumberman's Arch, and it's going to be a phenomenal time. I can't wait. Again, I'm starting to get hungry. I want to go for some phenomenal food, right? So I guess what do you want to do from now? Like, what's new, gonna be new and exciting for Fatima coming up here now?
So I actually want to hire a few employees, so that
Oh, cool.
so that I can then go out and continue to talk to people.
Yeah.
While I'm growing my business and helping people.
Wow. So right now you're at the stage of your business where now you're going to start to hire, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, me too. It's phenomenal when you get to that point where you just you get to start hiring and stuff like that. And I have I'm pretty fortunate. I've partnered up with a pretty amazing company, Win-Win Academy. I will put the plug in there, and we help international students get jobs here. So it's a phenomenal side of my business that I love doing, and it's good because now that I'm connected with them, now I can hire some of these amazing students, because I really believe in giving people shots that may not be able to get those shots, and that's a big part of my business. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's something that you're looking into now, is just getting to that growing part where you're going to grow and excel and get to that next level. Is there any other things? I know you mentioned, you said you're going to start your own charity now. Is there anything else that Fatima is going to be working on that we can be excited to see?
I've got another book coming up.
Oh my, another book! Oh
yes.
Wow!
It's not a book on poetry.
Okay,
actually.
wow.
So I'm co-authoring a book for Hearth Mind Wisdom, book number 4.
Wow.
And so it's basically telling my entire story.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. To do an autobiography. Wow.
Yeah.
That's gonna be really interesting. When do you guys have a plan of when that release would be?
No, so they're just sort of waiting for all of the authors. So I believe there's about 25 authors, so 25 chapters.
Wow.
So they're just sort of waiting for each one of us to get our rough draft in.
Oh, interesting. So all 25 of you will be in that same book, and it'll be a story of your life.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. That's for me. It's I mentioned that I want to. I struggle with writing a little bit, but one of my dreams, one of my personal dreams, is hopefully I can maybe leverage some, asking for help. I'll leverage some help from Fatima. But yeah, absolutely. As I want to do an autobiography of my life too, and from kind of where I came from in a very rough early start in life to where I'm at now. I think it's pretty cool to see those stories of people, right?
So one advice I can give you on that.
Yes.
Is draw a mind map.
Well, what's that?
So basically, like a spider's web, right?
Okay.
When we were in school, we'd have to do all these mind maps with little webs coming out and all of that stuff. So just have like your major eras, and then sort of plug out of there. That's what helped me.
Wow.
But that's
That's really cool. I need all the help I can get with it in terms of writing, because what I really believe is everything in all success and all successful people, and and what I've seen in the formula, and just kind of what what I see from the very successful people is things have to be very ritualistic. So what I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if we have even just when I coach sales guys and stuff like that, one of the hardest things for them to do is to prospect, is to get on the phone and start calling people. So what I get them to do is at between I'd say 10 a.m. and noon is that's a time to block off every single day to start calling people, and that way it becomes a habit. And after they say 66 days, something becomes a habit and it becomes natural. So what I'm assuming is, and what I was thinking is, if I block a certain time off every single day to just my writing, let's say it's from 8 p.m. till 10 every single day, and block that off, and have that quiet space to do that, I'm sure it's going to come a lot more natural for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
It most definitely will. And for me, like I said earlier, so for me, I do my writing portion of it at night.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
yeah.
you got to find your time that is like the most creative for you, that will allow that space.
Cool. Wow. Well, that's awesome. Now I have one more question for you. This is the final question. I love doing the final question. I mean, let's hope.
Should I worry about the final question?
You might want to worry about the final question. So because I know I feel like I know you as a person, as a human being. I think this is gonna be a good question for you. If you could talk to a person struggling right now in their life, someone that's just hurting, either in business, let's say an entrepreneur right now is really struggling to find their place. They're about ready to give up. They're really hurting inside, and it's really causing them a lot of pain. What would you say to that individual?
So it's funny you asking that, because I was actually in that position.
Wow.
And as an entrepreneur, we have dips and valleys and all of that stuff, right? And so I was actually talking to one of my girlfriends, and I was just like bawling. I was in tears. I was like, I'm so done. I just can't do this anymore. And she's like, no. You know what? You stick with it. You've got a dream. Don't give up on your dream, because the minute you give up on your dream, that means you're dead inside.
Wow.
So that was quite inspiring.
Wow. So what did you do from that moment to just kind of get you? So that probably shocked the system right away.
Yeah.
And then what did you do? Just get into action right away? What happened?
So I took a day or two to just sort of process it, and then I got back into listening to Louise Hay's and spiritual stuff, and also then starting to read again.
Cool.
Then that got me into the mojo, and then again I was good to go.
That's awesome. And so there's a key point in here that I want to talk about is, and it goes back to asking for help, right?
Yeah.
And you had that beautiful, wonderful friend that was able to help you in those moments. And I implore anybody that's really struggling right now in life, or maybe suffering in silence, or if you're an entrepreneur, or whoever you are, and you're just suffering right now, I really encourage you to reach out and ask for help, because there is a lot of people who do love and care.
Yeah.
And I know Fatima and I are both one of those type of people, and I mean, I'll even extend my own hand out, and I'm sure Fatima will as well.
I will too, yes.
If you're going through something right now that we can help you out with, just reach out to us. And
so there's actually something that a lot of people don't know about me.
Perfect. Here we go. Here's one more hat.
Actually, no, it's not a hat.
Oh, okay.
It's made me authentic, but I used to work at the airport, and I actually went through depression.
Yeah.
Because I knew inside of me that I was meant to be doing something more, and I just couldn't, and I was so stuck in this place that I absolutely hated.
Wow.
That's a very strong word.
That is.
It's a very strong word, but I actually did go into depression. There were thoughts of suicide.
Yeah.
So it was pretty severe. So I did have, my parents, got me to the doctor, and we started talking and all of that stuff. And then I did take the medication, and then after a while, I was like, nope, I need to get off of these medications.
Yeah.
And I started going back to mosque. I started, hanging out with a lot more people, going outside. I love the outdoors.
Yes.
So you'll often see, like, I'm taking pictures outside with, like, flowers and all of that stuff. I started gardening because that's actually therapeutic.
Wow.
That's actually where my jewelry started coming in.
Oh, interesting.
So that was, therapeutic. So, it's not all perfect all the time, but just don't be afraid to ask for help. If you don't, then you're going to be suffering in silence.
Exactly.
And then that's the worst, because you know what? That could lead to something worse, and we will not see your brilliance. So don't put off asking for help.
Absolutely, and there's some really big keys here, and this is so for me personally. My greater passion and good in life is just like yours, is to helping, giving back, and that's outside of business. That's it, and for me, that's what's really near and dear to my heart is mental health and addictions, and we see the impact that's making on the world
Yeah.
today. And what I'm really liking about the movement that's happening is it's becoming a, media has really brought out mental health and addiction into the forefront, and so we see it on a regular basis. So now it's becoming more acceptable that where people are finding that they can actually come out and talk about it
Yeah.
and not be shamed, because that's the biggest thing for people who suffer from mental health issues, depression, or someone who has addiction issues, is they really feel that shame, right? And that's what really does it to us, right? So I'm really happy and glad that it's coming out now. And I'm really happy that you actually talked about it as well. So we'll save that for another time on the podcast because we've run out of time. But yeah, so thank you so much, Fatima, for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. We will have you on the show again. And I think there's some really cool topics that we could talk about on another show. And as I know you, you can always have something else going on. So it's been pretty cool. So tell the people how they can get a hold of you.
So you can get a hold of me through firefoxmedia.co. And my email is fatimasumarmedia@gmail.com. Or you can email me at designsbyfatimasumar.com, or you can call me at 604-537-7862. And Brad is going to actually put my link in for my donation link for the World Partnership Walk. So please step forward and help me alleviate global poverty. And thank you very much, Brad, for having me on the show with you today.
No problem. It's a great pleasure as always. And yeah, I'll put all the links inside all the social channels that we'll put this podcast on. And yeah, absolutely. And what's the website again for the walk?
WorldPartnershipWalk.com.
Boom. Get there, okay? And if you can't make it this year, please do so for next year. And we'll see you all soon. Thanks. And lots of gratitude coming from us. And we will see you next time on the show.
See you next time. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.